Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever wondered why men often come back after a period of no contact? You've moved on, healed, and then out of nowhere he resurfaces. What's going on in his mind? Today we'll explore the reasons behind this behavior and what it really means. When a man experiences a period of no contact, his mind often becomes filled with curiosity and nostalgia. At first, he may not think much of the silence, assuming that things will eventually go back to normal. But as time passes and he notices your absence, his thoughts begin to wander. He starts remembering the little things, the way you used to laugh at his jokes, the deep conversations you shared, or even the small habits that made you unique. The absence of your presence in his life creates a void, and that void starts to play tricks on his memory. Suddenly, the arguments and issues that led to the separation become less significant in his mind, while the good times take center stage. He begins to idealize the past, focusing on the warmth, love, and comfort that once existed between you. This nostalgia is often triggered by random events. He might hear a song that reminds him of you, pass by a place you both used to visit, or even see something on social media that sparks a memory. These moments make him realize how much of an impact you had on his life, and he starts to wonder if he made the right decision in letting you go. His curiosity deepens as he questions what you've been up to, whether you've moved on or if you still think about him. He may even find himself checking your social media, trying to piece together your current life without directly reaching out. The more he wonders, the stronger the pull becomes. At this point, his emotions start to cloud his judgment. Even if he was the one who initiated the breakup or distanced himself, he may start to feel a growing urge to reconnect. You might justify his return with thoughts like, maybe things weren't as bad as I thought, or I missed the way she made me feel. It's not necessarily that he has had a major realization about his mistakes or that he's ready to commit to something better. Instead, it's often the power of nostalgia making him believe that the past was more beautiful than he originally thought. This emotional pull can be incredibly powerful because human beings naturally crave familiarity. When a relationship ends, it's like stepping into the unknown. And for many men, that unknown can feel unsettling. The comfort of what once was starts to look appealing, especially if they haven't found anything meaningful in its place. Nostalgia has a way of making people yearn for things that felt safe, and if you were a source of love, stability, and care in his life, he will be drawn back to that feeling. Even if he doesn't fully understand why. When a man starts to feel that he is losing you for good, a deep sense of urgency kicks in. At first, he may have felt confident in his decision to walk away or remain silent, believing that you would still be there if he ever changed his mind. But as time passes, he begins to notice that your absence is not just temporary, it's real. He no longer receives texts from you, no longer sees you reaching out, and there are no signs that you are waiting for him. This realization can hit hard, especially if he was under the impression that he had unlimited access to you. The idea that you might be slipping away forever triggers a sense of panic, making him second guess his choices. The male mind often operates on a delayed emotional response when it comes to breakups or breaks of separation. While women tend to process emotions immediately, men often suppress them or distract themselves until reality sets in. In the beginning, he might enjoy the freedom, thinking that he can explore other options, focus on himself, or even just avoid emotional confrontation. However, as time goes on and he realizes that you are not chasing after him, he starts to feel the weight of what he lost. He wonders if you have moved on, found someone new, or simply decided that he is no longer worthy of your time. The fear of being permanently replaced can be a huge motivator for a man to return, even if he is unsure about his true intentions. This fear is often intensified when he starts seeing signs that you are thriving without him. If he notices that you are living your best life, looking happy and not showing any signs of heartbreak, it unsettles him. Men often expect that a woman will remain emotionally attached for a long time, but when they see the opposite, it challenges their ego. He might start reaching out with casual messages, trying to gauge where you stand. At first, it may seem innocent. He could say something like, hey, just checking in, or I saw something today that reminded me of you. But beneath these simple words is a deeper question. Do I still have a place in your life? If he senses that the door is still open, he may try to reestablish a connection to ease his fear of completely losing you. At times, this fear-driven return is not even about love or regret. It's about the comfort of knowing that you are still available to him. The idea of you moving forward without him can be a blow to his ego, making him want to regain control over the situation. However, the real question is whether his return is driven by a genuine desire to fix things or just an impulsive reaction to his own insecurities. This is why it's important to pay attention to his actions, not just his words, when he reappears. On the other hand, there are cases where a man returns because he has genuinely reflected on his mistakes and regrets his actions. During no contact, he has had the space to look back on what went wrong and see the role he played in the downfall of the relationship. Unlike temporary nostalgia or ego-driven impulses, real regret comes with self-awareness. He starts to understand the ways he took you for granted, the things he could have done differently, and the emotional impact his choices had on you. This realization does not happen overnight, but if it does occur, it can lead to meaningful change. When regret is real, it is often accompanied by a sense of responsibility. He no longer views the breakup as something that just happened, but rather as a result of his own actions. This kind of self-awareness can push him to return with a more serious mindset, wanting to make things right. You might notice that his communication is different. He is more open, honest, and willing to acknowledge his faults. He may apologize without making excuses, show a willingness to listen, and even express a desire to rebuild trust. These are signs that his regret is genuine rather than just a temporary feeling of loneliness or boredom. However, it is important to remember that regret alone does not automatically mean a relationship should be rekindled. Just because he realizes his mistakes does not mean he has changed. True growth takes time, effort, and consistent actions. Some men return out of guilt, hoping that by expressing their remorse, they can relieve their conscience without actually putting in the work to be better partners. That's why it is crucial to observe whether his regret is followed by real change or if it is just a way to pull you back in temporarily. At the end of the day, a man who returns out of fear of losing you and a man who returns with genuine regret may appear similar at first. The difference lies in how they act once they are back in your life. One may come back simply to soothe his own worries, while the other comes back with the intention of making things right. Understanding this difference can help you decide whether his return is worth entertaining or if it is better to continue moving forward without him. When a man experiences no contact, curiosity and nostalgia can take over his thoughts, leading him back to you. At first, he might not notice your absence or may even enjoy the space, thinking that time apart is not a big deal. However, as the silence grows longer, he begins to wonder about you, what you're doing, who you're with, and whether you still think about him. The uncertainty of not knowing what's happening in your life creates a strong urge to reach out. It's human nature to be curious about things we no longer have direct access to, and this curiosity can become overwhelming for a man, especially if he was used to having you readily available in the past. Nostalgia plays a huge role in this process. When time passes, people tend to remember the good moments more than the bad. The painful arguments, misunderstandings, and disappointments that may have led to the breakup start to fade, while the happy, loving memories take center stage. He might recall the way you supported him, the laughs you shared, and the deep emotional connection you once had. Everyday experiences such as hearing a song you both love, passing by a place you used to go together, or even seeing someone who reminds him of you can trigger these memories. This often creates an emotional pull that makes him want to reach out, even if he doesn't fully understand why. When a man begins to romanticize the past, he may start to question whether he made the right decision in letting you go or allowing so much time to pass without reconnecting. He wonders if you are thinking about him in the same way or if you have moved on completely. This uncertainty can be unsettling, making him feel the need to check in, either to satisfy his curiosity or to see if the door is still open for him. Another major reason why men return is the fear of losing you for good. In many cases, when a relationship ends or a period of silence begins, a man assumes that he has time to figure things out. He might believe that you will always be there in some capacity, even if you aren't actively communicating. However, when he realizes that you are no longer waiting, no longer reaching out, and possibly even moving forward, panic sets in. This fear is not just about losing you as a person, it's also about losing the comfort, support, and familiarity that you brought into his life. Men often process breakups and emotional separations differently from women. While women tend to deal with the pain immediately and work through their emotions, men often suppress their feelings or distract themselves until reality hits. At first, he may feel free, believing that no contact is just temporary. But as the days or weeks go by and he realizes that you are genuinely not chasing after him, he begins to feel uneasy. The thought of you finding someone else, becoming completely indifferent to him, or building a life where he no longer has a place can be incredibly difficult for his ego and emotions to handle. The moment he senses that his presence in your life is fading, he might rush back in an attempt to reclaim what he once had. Even if he was unsure about his feelings before, the possibility of losing you permanently can push him to act impulsively. He might reach out with a casual message, hoping to gauge your reaction, or he may try to have a deeper conversation about what went wrong. However, it's important to recognize whether his return is motivated by genuine love and realization or simply by the fear of losing control over the situation. Some men return not because they truly miss you, but because their ego cannot handle the idea of you moving on without them. When a man believes that he has a certain level of power over your emotions, he may feel comfortable keeping his distance, knowing that you are still attached. However, when he senses that you are no longer emotionally invested, his ego takes a hit. He starts to wonder if you ever really needed him as much as he thought, or if he was just one part of your life that you can now easily replace. This kind of return is often not about love, but about validation. He wants to confirm that he still has an effect on you, that he can still stir your emotions, and that he has not been completely erased from your life. This is why some men reach out with vague messages, hoping to spark a reaction. They might say things like, "I was just thinking about you," or "I hope you're doing well," without actually expressing any real intention of rekindling the relationship. Their goal is to see if you still care enough to respond. If you do, it gives them the reassurance that they are still on your mind. If you don't, it can make them even more determined to get a reaction out of you. Men who return for ego-driven reasons may also behave inconsistently. One moment they may seem interested in reconnecting, and the next they may disappear again. This is because their return is not based on a genuine desire to rebuild the relationship, but rather on a need to feel validated in the moment. Once they achieve that, they may lose interest again and repeat the cycle in the future. Recognizing this pattern can help you avoid falling into an emotional trap where you are constantly giving attention to someone who only wants it when it serves their ego. Another key reason why men return after no contact is loneliness or a lack of better options. Sometimes it's not about realizing your worth, it's about realizing that life without you is not as exciting or fulfilling as they expected. When a man chooses to walk away or allow distance to grow, he often believes that he will find something better or that he will enjoy the single life. However, reality doesn't always match his expectations. If he has been dating around and hasn't found anyone who makes him feel the way you did, he may start to second guess his choices. He might compare his current experiences to what he had with you and realize that the connection, support, or comfort he once had is missing. In some cases, he may have been keeping his options open, thinking that he would easily meet someone new, only to realize that relationships with real depth are not as easy to replace as he assumed. Loneliness can also play a significant role in his return. If he is going through a difficult time feeling disconnected or lacking emotional support, he may reach out simply because he craves companionship. In these moments, he is not necessarily thinking about rekindling a healthy relationship. He is thinking about filling an emotional void. This can lead him to reach out, reminisce about old times, and make it seem like he wants to reconnect. However, if his return is motivated by temporary loneliness rather than true emotional growth, it is likely that once he feels better, he will pull away again. Understanding why a man returns after no contact is important, because it allows you to recognize the difference between genuine intention and convenience. While some men come back because they truly miss you and want to make things right, others return because of nostalgia, ego, fear, or loneliness. Identifying his true motives can help you decide whether his return is something worth entertaining or if you are better off continuing your journey without him. Men often return after no contact because they finally begin to appreciate your true value, something they may have overlooked when they had you. It is a common human tendency to take things for granted, especially when they feel easily accessible. During the relationship, He may not have fully recognized everything you brought to his life, your emotional support, your kindness, your patience, and the way you care for him. He may have assumed that your presence was guaranteed, that no matter how he treated you, you would always be there. But when you suddenly go silent, it forces him to reflect on what he has lost. At first, he might not feel the full impact of your absence. He may believe that life will go on as usual, that he will be fine without you, or that he can easily find someone else who will offer him the same level of care and understanding. However, as time passes, he starts to see that what he had with you was special. He realizes that not everyone will be as patient, as loving, or as deeply connected to him as you were. The things he once overlooked, your comforting words, your thoughtful gestures, the way you made his life easier suddenly become clear to him. This realization often comes when he starts interacting with new people. If he begins dating or spending time with others, he might find that these new connections lack the depth and emotional security he had with you. He might have expected that moving on would be easy, but instead he feels a growing sense of dissatisfaction. The laughter you shared, the inside jokes, the way you supported him during tough times, these are not things that can be replaced overnight. When he starts comparing his current experiences to the past, he realizes just how much you added to his life. In some cases, this newfound appreciation is not just about romance, but about the overall comfort and stability you provided. If he was someone who relied on you for emotional support, advice, or even just companionship, the absence of these things can feel overwhelming. He may start to feel lonely, not just because he misses being in a relationship, but because he specifically misses what he had with you. This is when he begins to understand your worth, not just as a partner, but as a person who genuinely cared for him in ways others may not. When this realization hits, he may begin to regret the way he treated you. He might look back on arguments and misunderstandings with a new perspective, realizing that he was at fault for pushing you away. He might think about the times when he dismissed your feelings, took your love for granted, or failed to give you the appreciation you deserved. This regret can be a powerful motivator for him to reach out and try to reconnect. However, it is important to recognize whether his appreciation is genuine and lasting, or if it is simply a temporary reaction to loneliness and nostalgia. Some men only realize what they had when they feel it's lost, but once they regain access to it, they fall back into old habits. A man who truly appreciates your value will not just say he misses you, he will show it through his actions. He will make an effort to communicate better, treat you with the respect you deserve, and prove that he has learned from past mistakes. If a man returns after no contact because he has finally realized your worth, he will not be vague or inconsistent. He will not just send casual messages to test the waters. He will be direct about his feelings and intentions. He will acknowledge his mistakes, express sincere regret, and show a willingness to change. This is the difference between a man who truly values you and a man who simply misses the comfort of having you around. Ultimately, men often need distance to gain clarity. They may not realize what they had while they were in the relationship, but when they are forced to live without it, the truth becomes undeniable. If he returns because he finally appreciates your value, it is up to you to decide whether Hessen's align with his words and whether his return is truly in your best interest. Men often return after no contact because they have changed or gained a new perspective on relationships and emotions. Time and distance have a way of making people reflect on their past actions, behaviors, and decisions. At the time of the breakup or separation, he may have been unsure of what he wanted, emotionally immature, or simply not in the right mindset to appreciate what he had. However, as time passes, personal growth and self-reflection can lead to a significant shift in his understanding of himself and his relationships. Sometimes people need space to grow. During the relationship, he may have struggled with commitment, communication, or emotional vulnerability. He may have pushed you away not because he didn't care, but because he wasn't emotionally equipped to handle a deep connection. Many men are conditioned to suppress their feelings, avoid vulnerability, and struggle with expressing emotions. This can lead them to take relationships for granted, withdraw during conflicts, or sabotage meaningful connections out of fear. However, as he matures and gains more life experience, he may start to see things differently. A major factor in this transformation is introspection. After spending time alone, away from the relationship, he may have started to recognize his own flaws and shortcomings. He may have realized that the problems in the relationship weren't just external, but also internal things that stem from his own fears, insecurities, or past traumas. He may have gained clarity about why he acted the way he did, why he struggled to appreciate you fully, and what he needs to change within himself to be a better partner. Life experiences also play a huge role in a man's growth and change. If he has faced challenges such as career setbacks, personal hardships, or other relationships that didn't work out, these experiences can shift his mindset. He may have once believed that he had all the time in the world to figure things out, but as he grows older, he realizes that meaningful relationships are not easy to come by. He may have encountered situations that force him to reevaluate his priorities, helping him understand what truly matters in life. The influence of others can also contribute to his transformation. He may have spoken to friends, family members, or even a therapist who helped him see things from a new perspective. Sometimes it takes an outside voice to make someone realize the mistakes they made. If he has surrounded himself with people who have given him wise advice, or if he has observed healthy relationships around him, it can inspire him to want something different for himself. If he has genuinely changed, his return will feel different. He won't just come back with vague messages or surface level attempts at reconnecting. He will approach you with sincerity, accountability, and a desire to prove that he is not the same person who walked away. He will acknowledge the ways he may have hurt you, take responsibility for his actions, and express a clear understanding of what he wants moving forward. He will not just rely on words, but will show through his actions that he has learned and evolved. However, it is crucial to determine whether his change is authentic or temporary. Some men return because they believe they have changed, but once they are back in the same familiar dynamic, they revert to old patterns. True change requires consistent effort, self-awareness, and a willingness to improve, not just for the sake of winning someone back, but for personal growth. If he has truly grown, he will be patient, respectful, and willing to put in the work to rebuild trust. A man who returns after no contact because he has genuinely changed will be intentional in his approach. He will not pressure you, manipulate you, or try to sweep past issues under the rug. Instead, he will take the time to show you through steady and meaningful actions that he is different. Whether or not you choose to give him another chance is up to you, but recognizing the difference between genuine transformation and temporary regret can help you make the best decision for your own happiness and well-being. When a man returns after no contact, it's important to look beyond his words and examine his actions. Understanding why he is coming back, whether out of genuine love, nostalgia, loneliness, regret, or true personal growth, can help you determine if his return is in your best interest. While time and distance can bring clarity, not every return means reconciliation is the right choice. The most important thing is to focus on yourself, your own growth, and what truly makes you happy. If his return aligns with your needs, values, and emotional well-being, then it may be worth exploring. However, if it feels like a cycle of inconsistency or an attempt to regain control, then walking away might be the best decision. At the end of the day, you are the one who decides what you allow back into your life. Whether he returns or not, your worth is not defined by his absence or presence. Your happiness, peace, and fulfillment should always be your priority. If someone truly values you, they will prove it not just by coming back, but by staying and treating you the way you deserve.